Hello, boys and girls, my name is Hutzelcy and welcome back to Oxygen Not Included in our tiny colony. We're still sitting at 5 duplicants and we are a bit warm, but overall, actually, we're a bit cold here. So maybe let's switch this out with some isolated pipes. That should help here. Goal for today is to prepare ourselves to take on more duplicates. We have some bats to spare, but I think that the main problem that we will run into is food. We're still heavily relying on mealwood. Mealwood is not the best food, and having something better would probably also help with morale, and then we could also up the skill levels of our duplicants. They're still very basic, just what we need to get by. And for that, for basically switching the meal-ice farm to bristle blossoms, we need water. And we need water at comfortable range so that the plants do not overheat. So that's something we have to take care of. We have this setup up here, which we completed last time. We will get quite a bit of hot steam out of this, which we will then use down here for our oil refinement. We also have this set up here, which also produces water. That's a bit on the warm side. So we do have water sources that we could use, but they are too warm. So probably what we want to do is having a kind of a cooling setup that we can use for that purpose. And then there are all the other bits like dealing with this mess. And here we have a copper volcano that we can use. Here we have a hydrogen volcano that we can use. So all these things we can take care of, but one thing at a time. Let's clean this mess up first. Things are looking up here on this side. Mess is almost clean up, and I also figured out why we have these ethanol spill outs. That was because we had normal pipes here, and at around 80 degrees Celsius it evaporates, breaks the pipes, makes a mess. So that's why we have insulated pipes here, and that should keep the temperature of the ethanol below that threshold. And then down here I have started to set up another cooling station, and this will be a bit different. We don't need it that big. We only will have one aqua tuner here, which means we only need one turbine here. And what we will do is we will have a pool of cold liquid in here, which we are cooling. We're not using the cold liquid to cool anything else, but what we will have here is then basically this pipe going through that liquid and cooling that down. And we will pump water through there. So that's where we get the cool water that we need for our plants. And I'm hoping if I get the liquid lock in here, then I can basically dig all this out, and that will become a vacuum on itself, so we don't have to worry about pumping things out. So there we go with that part, and hopefully we'll see some progress soon. This part of the setup is now complete, and I started with cooling this water down. It's not completely filled. It's not completely filled because we have run out of salt water. Eventually we will get more, but we can do the cooling down with what we have. And this is quite on the toasty side with almost 80 degrees Celsius. So it will take a while until it gets down to temperatures that are on the cooler side, and we need to keep an eye on what temperatures we target, because here as that cool down until the liquid going in is 20 degrees Celsius, so that means it comes out at 6 degrees Celsius, and this will then basically cool down the water going through this this pipe loop, cooling things down. And I think having water for our crops that's 6 degrees Celsius, it's maybe a bit too cool, especially if we're looking here. We're actually just above 15 degrees Celsius, and this is a problem up here because, for example, these trees, they need at least 15 degrees Celsius. So at the beginning we replaced this pipe here with insulated pipe, and these last two trees, they are still too cold to actually grow. Eventually, hopefully we will get there, and it's a bit of a balancing act. But we can turn our attention to other things here. Looking at the pipe thing here, we have all but this connection made, and then we have the loop going through in this direction, and also here we will bridge off so we can replenish this pool a bit, so we do have a bit of coolish water for whatever needs we have, and that should do it. Up here we are also good. I had to replace this this pump with a steel pump. That's why we have kind of a lock here on this side. So there are two more things, or actually three more things, that we can turn our attention to. One is this copper volcano, and I think what we want to have here is a wall on this side, then there goes that part. We will have floor there, then up here we will have this. We will have cooling. Do it like that. Then we will have an entry point here on this side, and I think we also want to have kind of a bit of automation to pick up the copper, so we don't carry that around with duplicants. And up here, oh yeah, what I forget to do, we need kind of an atmosphere here, so prepared all that already, so let's sorry, let's add this bridge here. That should give us a bit of hydrogen atmosphere here, which we can then use to cool the turbine, so it does not overheat. And then over here we have our hydrogen thingy vent, and what we need here is window tiles and like that. And let's dig this part out, and in here we will have a radiant loop going on, maybe not of steel. I think we can do this with lead, because what we will have in here will be liquid. That's on the cool side, so maybe we will have for now a gap there, so we can drip things in. And I'm thinking of having a bit of salt water there. And then here on this side we need a bit of room. So what we will do here is build a ladder from there. So in the end we will dig out the vent when everything else is in place. We are making good progress here. This copper setup will take a while, mainly due to the fact that we need quite a bit of water, 200 kilograms to be precise on every floor tile, and we don't have that amount of water ready, so that will have to wait until we can add in more water here, which means this basin needs to cool down sufficiently. And as you can see, aside from the cooling loop for the water, I have also a rail in here, which will collect the copper from up here and then bring that through this tank and then dump the cooled down copper here on this type. Here on the hydrogen vent, we are a bit closer. Actually, I think we are ready to dig this part out because this water is sufficiently cold, and actually we can enable this building, so we are pumping out the carbon dioxide that's in here, and that should help, because what we want to have is a very thin atmosphere of hydrogen, because if it's thin, it can cool down more efficiently, and there's just this bit of cooling here on the side that should be sufficient, and we will pump it in here in those tanks, and then if the battery is too low, we will produce a bit of power from the generators. But I think at this point it's mainly a waiting game for things to be completed and sufficiently cooled down. The duplicants have been busy. This setup over here is almost done. There's just a bit of things missing before we can dig this out. We need a bit of water in here, and I also want to get the railing done so we can control that effectively. Down here, the setup for our hydrogen gas power generation is done, and we are producing, and it has come in quite handy because we have run out of natural gas because both gas geysers went off, and the petroleum generator alone just could not cope, especially with so many cooling setups running. And down here we have this container of salt water at a low temperature of 18 degrees, so that's cool enough so that we can pump through the normal water, and for optimal cooling we use radiant pipe here, because the water that goes through here will never go lower than the 18 degrees that we have in here, and we get water out of it that is a nice temperature. And this water splits off here. This goes to the farm, and the rest goes over here, where we have a bit of automation so that this pool does not overflow, but we always have a bit of water here on the side. We also have one additional duplicant. It was a bargain, so I could not say no, and I planted already 3 blossom seeds, but I think we should do more. Let's rip out every other one, replace it with hydroponic farm tiles, add more bristle blossoms in there, and hopefully we will survive, because you can see our food just went down to 0. But I think what we can do is going in here, get ourselves a bit of meat, that should get us over the hump. Now, let's add in here these tiles, and I think we will replace the mealwood once it is harvested, so we make optimal use out of it. And hopefully once we have this done, then we can really focus with our duplicants on the setup here for the copper. With our duplicant count, we're getting there. We are up to 8 in the meantime. That's 3 more than we started this episode with. And we are at around 100 kilocalories of 100,000 kilocalories of food. So we are pretty stable, and I think just having these bristle blossom as an alternative food source, that makes all the difference. And in the meantime, also our copper volcano is active. The delivery does not work as expected because here we have the copper sitting, and it's just not going down as fast as I would like. So maybe we will increase this temperature to 600. That should bring things out, and then we can see. Yeah, there we see the now the copper that goes through is a bit over 300, and it goes through here. This will heat up the water in here, but we can cool that down, and eventually we will not have this constant conga line of copper going through, heating everything up increasingly. But as you can see now, here the copper on the rail is at 70 degrees, 90 degrees, so it's comfortably cooled down. And that's the whole thing we wanted to achieve with this setup. So we get out copper that is cool enough for our duplicants to handle, and if we are using it somewhere in our base, it does not heat things up. And with that, we are at the end of this episode. Progress has been made, and I think there are still a few things that we need to tackle, mainly around the oil and what we do with it, but that's something for next time. Until then, goodbye!